surrounded by wrestling fans. Not sports entertainment fans. Professional wrestling fans! Professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up! This is
the Wrestling Matters Podcast, a podcast that stands up for professional wrestling. Why? Because wrestling matters. So join the revolution, because the revolution is now. Ladies, gentlemen, and whoever else is listening to this, welcome all to the Wrestling Matters Podcast, the next installment, the new installment, new episode. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in today. My name is Anthony Walker. That H, that E to the A to the D, but you know that by now. Today we're going to talk Raw, SmackDown, TNA, as we always do, Ring of Honor, NXT, Extreme Rules, and yeah, it's back, believe it or not, King of the Ring. That's right, King of the Ring is back. More on that later. Now, there's a few things that have come up this week that I want to talk about. I feel the need to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll kick off with one on a certain website called GiveMeSport.com. Now, they put up an article this week saying that Vince, you know, with the passing of former AWA promoter and an AWA champion in his own right as well, Vern Gagne, passing away. This past week, an article was on that certain website saying that he was a WWE legend. Now, granted, he was a legend in the AWA. Granted, he's in the Hall of Fame, the WWE Hall of Fame, which kind of, you know, I still question to this very day, and many others do as well, why he was in the Hall of Fame, or why he was put in the Hall of Fame, because it was Vince who put him out of business and ran the AWA out of business. Maybe he was acknowledging the commitments and, you know, the contributions to the wrestling business, but that's another day. Issue for another day. I mean, mind boggles me that these websites need to redo their research and do it smartly, because he's not a WWE legend. He was never in the WWE. Now, that's like, not to go off key here, Holly Willoughby the other day calling Frank Lampard a Man City legend. He was only at Man City one season. He's a Chelsea legend, but not a Man City legend. And Vern Gagne was an AWA legend, not a WWE legend. Yes, he's in the Hall of Fame, but that doesn't make him a WWE legend. So just let people know. So the GiveMeSport.com, you might want to do your research a little bit more. Now, the other bit of news is TNA. And I'll be talking about TNA and the Impact show this past week later on. But it seems that TNA are falling apart again. Because it seems that I read this past week that TNA are in financial problems. They are failing to pay their talent and their production team. They're a bit behind on that. Even got to the point where one person, one top talent in TNA, threatened to walk out and join Global Force Wrestling, which is Jeff Jarrett's company, or upcoming company. So, but from what I read as well, that person, that anonymous wrestler, got paid. It's mind-boggling to realize how, you know, I mean, money problems were the reason TNA are in this situation. So it's mind-boggling to know that it's still ongoing. You know, you would think they would solve the problems now out with the new network and the new stuff that they're doing as well. Granted, they're not the top two anymore. They're an indie team. They're on the level of an indie promotion. No way they're on the level. Not that they ever were on the level of a Vince McMahon. So they need to get this sorted and get this sorted quick, or it's going to be mutiny in TNA, and TNA won't be a company for very much longer. It's amazing they've lasted this long, and they've done well to stay in business. They need to start finding a way to pay their talent on time, and the production team and whoever else is working there. Because if they don't, they're in trouble. I mean, you could tell it's different to what it used to be now, and you could tell they're trying to save money, because you've got these Impact shows that take place every week, and you've got Josh Matthews doing commentary from Nashville, from a studio in Nashville, Tennessee. And as of this past week, which I'll get to later, he was doing it with Al Snow. So it seems that Al Snow is the new right-hand man now to replace Taz. You know, I mean, it's mind-boggling. It really is. But hopefully TNA can work through that, because I never want to see a wrestling company go out of business. And TNA are doing great things at the moment. But if they don't start paying their talent on time and sorting their financial problems out, all the great work that they're trying to do will be for nothing. Now, this past week saw the return of King of the Ring. That's right, King of the Ring returned this past week. Matches were on Raw. First round matches were on Raw, which led to a show on the network. Now, I don't know whether this was on the network or on Raw. The Raw show, I believe it was on the network. I might be wrong, but it was on Raw. And it was on Raw or the King of the Ring show, nonetheless. It got to a point where Booker T, during a Neville match, I can't remember who he was wrestling. I have to double check it, but he managed to, I've got the audio, and he managed to go ahead and say this.
Neville could be our first high-flying king. Guess Owen was a high flyer, but not quite like this.
He didn't defy gravity.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. He said, JBL said, I guess Owen didn't fly like this. JBL turned around, JBL said, I guess Owen didn't fly like this. Booker turns around and goes, he didn't defy gravity. Basically saying that Owen Hart, he didn't defy gravity. Oh my God, Booker. Another stupid comment goes to your portfolio, so to speak, Booker. Now, this is not a pipe bomb, as it normally would. This is just me respectfully saying to you that you were turning into JBL. I must have said Booker T there, because I've got Booker T on my mind at the moment, because this thing's about Booker T. You are turning into JBL, Booker. It is not a good look for you, okay? You come up with a stupid remark like that. Owen Hart died in 1999 being sailed in from the ceiling, and you saying that he didn't defy gravity. Now, credit to you, you did apologize for it, but sometimes sorry seems to be the hardest word, and sometimes that just doesn't get, that doesn't really get you anywhere. So you saying that, and Bruce Hart said this week that you should be ashamed of yourself, and he's right, you should be. Hopefully this will learn your lesson, but quite frankly, Booker, you would have thought you'd learnt your lesson the previous time, because let's face it, Booker, this is not, alright, this was on the promo, but this is not the only time you've done a stupid comment, is it? Okay, let me play this audio of the other stupid comment that he said. Here it is.
We take what we want, and after we take Lex Luger and the Giant, we want the gold, sucker. Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, nigga.
Need I say more? Right, Book? Like I say, I do respect you, but you've got to be careful. Hopefully you're going to get somebody in that earpiece of yours, or whoever's talking to you through your thing, doing your commentary and telling you what to say. You might need somebody there who's going to restrict you from saying stupid things like that. And plus, going back to the audio that I've just played, where do you get in there when he goes, we're coming for you? I won't say the rest. Where do you get to a point when you're doing a promo for a match, hyping up a match? How do you get to the point where you end up saying something stupid like that? Granted, I've done promos. They're not easy to do, I'll grant you that. I've never ended up saying stupid stuff like that. What he said about Hulk Hogan. Or what he said to Hulk Hogan via promo. It's just mind-boggling, it really is. But Booker, be careful. Now, speaking of King of the Ring, again, I'll be talking about it later on as well. I'll be reviewing the matches later on. What amazes me about King of the Ring, this one, it was an hour show. Yes, they had the matches on Raw, but they had the matches on Raw as well. And by the way, that comment that Booker T made about Owen Hart, that was during the Adrian Neville-Luke Harper match. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Now, go back to what I was going to say. It was on for an hour. The King of the Ring show was on this week. I thought it was going to be an epic 2-hour show. Have the King of the Ring matches, the scheduled matches, filling in from Raw, have the 3 matches, the 2 semi-finals and the final, maybe throw in a few matches in there as well. But no, it was like a really bad version of NXT. Now, don't get me wrong, for the time they had, the matches were good, but it went from semi-final to final. Here's what they need to do. I read on Facebook the other day, and I saw somebody on Facebook post into the FTW site, which is run by me and one David Anderson. Should WWE replace Survivor Series with King of the Ring? Well, first off, no. Because let's face it, Survivor Series has been going on for so many years right now. Probably one of the longest running pay-per-views in WWE's pay-per-view calendar, or pay-per-view calendar booklet, whatever the hell they're using to create these pay-per-views. And you want to replace that, you're asking to replace that with King of the Ring. No. Okay? But I will say this hour thing that they've done, if they're going to do that, they might as well not bring King of the Ring back. What they need to do is take one of the pay-per-views, replace it, get rid. I don't know which pay-per-view to replace. Because, to be honest with you, WWE, although you probably don't get it on Raw or SmackDown, but they've been knocking out their pay-per-views this year. I have to say. Royal Rumble, not the worst one. Even though Roman Reigns had got shat on and Roman Reigns got booed out of the building. But it wasn't the worst one. The worst one was last year when Batista won it. Now, is it Fastlane in February? That was good. Fucking WrestleMania was even good. Yes, you heard me correct. Let me rewind that. WrestleMania was even good. Extreme Rules was even good. More on that later. So it's kind of difficult. You get better. WWE product is better watching the pay-per-views than it is watching Raw and SmackDown lately. I mean, Raw and SmackDown do good stuff, but there's some idiotic stuff on there. But what they need to do, WWE, is take a pay-per-view out. Probably not Money in the Bank. That's another tradition. Whatever's in June. There you go. Whatever goes down in June. I mean, Payback's in May. June or July. Take whatever's in July. Swap that with Money in the Bank. And put King of the Ring in June. That's what you need to do. Put King of the Ring back in June again. I mean, they've needed to bring this pay-per-view back forever. Because it kind of needs that opportunity to... I mean, the last time it was used, on pay-per-view at least, was in 2002, if I remember correctly. Rock versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. The reason why Brock got that title shot was because of King of the Ring. He won King of the Ring that year. And that was the last King of the Ring on pay-per-view. That's why you need to bring the pay-per-view back. Bring the pay-per-view back. Give someone an opportunity. Give 8 guys an opportunity to go in the tournament. The winner gets a shot at the champion 2 months later at SummerSlam. Or whenever. If you want the month after, or, whatever the fuck. Probably at make it SummerSlam. Give that person a shot. Or give that person an opportunity to face the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Just do it that way. But King of the Ring needs to come back on pay-per-view. Being on the network, the way it was this past week, 1 hour show, doesn't work. Okay? I mean, like I say, I was looking forward to this coming in. I didn't even know it was going to be a 1 hour show until I got up the next day and went to watch it. I thought, it's an hour show, are you kidding? Because I actually thought they were going to make like a 2 hour show of it. Like I said, and throw in some extra matches. It wasn't. They need to bring this back on pay-per-view. Okay? The pay-per-view WWE calendar needs King of the Ring back. And it needs to give King of the Ring back, to give other people in there opportunities to grab the brass ring, so to speak. That's what needs to be done. Okay? Definitely needs to be done. And do it quick. Because it gives that opportunity to people that not getting it. I mean, that's why the US title is getting defended every week, because John Cena's bringing credibility back to that belt, because boy does it need it, because the juice that it had when Dean Ambrose was champion, and this is not a knock on Dean Ambrose, but the juice, I mean, Dean Ambrose only defended it 3 times in his whole reign, and that's why WWE have put the belt on Cena, and not only that, they put the Intercontinental Championship on Daniel Bryan. God knows what's happening with him, because he's injured again for a month. He's out for a month, so God knows where that's going, what direction that's going, the Intercontinental Championship. But the US title, they're bringing credibility back to it, and that's why they put the belt on Cena. Because if there's anyone who could bring credibility back to a US title, it's John Cena. But yeah, seriously, in all, they definitely need to bring the King of the Ring back to pay-per-view. Don't be replacing it with the Survivor Series. Don't be replacing it with anything else. King of the Ring needs to be back on pay-per-view. needs to be back in the WWE pay-per-view calendar, and quick. Right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of my little rant, if you want to call it, or my opinion there. Okay, I'm going to go to a quick break, get a quick timeout in, and after this, I'll be back with Raw. Actually, I won't be back with Raw. I'll be back with Extreme Rules right after this. If you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not check out the Wrestling Matters podcast Facebook fan page at www.facebook.com/WM podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. If you're a fan of the Wrestling Matters podcast, be sure to check out the Wrestling Matters podcast Twitter page at WM podcast for news, reviews, and upcoming episodes, and you will be let know on various other topics as well in the world of professional wrestling. So if you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, be sure to follow the Wrestling Matters podcast on Twitter at WM Podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back to the Wrestling Matters podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've enjoyed that little part, the first part there, and now I'm on to the second part, and this is Extreme Rules. That's right. Extreme Rules was a pretty good pay-per-view. Now, there was a couple of changes in the Extreme Rules, and since it's starting off, Bad News Barrett was supposed to challenge Daniel Bryan for the Intercontinental title, but did not take place due to Bryan's injury. And Daniel Bryan was out injured. He's out for a month, from what I've been told. And that left Bad News Barrett to go to the kickoff match and fight Adrian Neville, or Neville as he's now known. From what I saw, pretty good match between the two Englishmen. I mean, think of what it would be like if that was on pay-per-view WWE. But no, you put it on the kickoff show. I brought the tag titles on the actual main show. You would best have put the Divas match on there, more on that in a minute. But Adrian Neville got the win on Bad News Barrett. Now, I don't know what that's used for Neville. I think they're pushing Neville from what I'm seeing, because I actually didn't expect him to win that, but he did. And it'd be interesting to see where Neville goes, or how Neville's getting used, because I mean, he's only a small guy, but a great wrestler nonetheless, former NXT champion. But you know, what could WWE use him in on the main roster? You know, I mean, there's no cruiserweight division there, so you know, maybe Intercontinental US. You know, it's just a way he's going to be booked on there. I mean, they've already booked him weirdly in a way. Ladies and gentlemen, he's called Adrian Neville. Oh, we'll just take the Adrian off and call him Neville. Sick. You'd have been best off just calling him Adrian Neville. Anyway, but that was the match, and well, like I said, great match it was, and Neville got the win. Dolph Ziggler and Sheamus. Now, a great back and forth match between these two, from what I saw and remember. I mean, you're going to get a great match anyway. I mean, Dolph Ziggler can go on a pay-per-view and have a match with anybody. And Sheamus, with that hen-looking mohawk that he's got, that makes him look like a fucking hen. Or chicken, or whatever the fuck. This guy did alright. And one mistake cost him the match. I think he meant to lift... I think at the end, he meant to lift Dolph Ziggler up in a suplex, but Ziggler managed to counter it, rolled him up in a small package and get the victory. Now, Sheamus didn't live up to his end of the bargain. He was panicking like hell to try and get himself out of the situation, but as Ziggler came in, he low blows Ziggler and forces Ziggler to kiss his arse, so to speak. Which, to all of us, is kiss my ass. Just saying. Now, probably the sour point of the night, and quite frankly, this makes no sense to me. I don't know why this took place. The New Day becoming the new World Tag Team Champions. Now, what Cookie said either last week or the week before, this guy, I mean, 2 heel tag teams at the time, but from what I read on the dirt sheets, they were trying to make... They were thinking about planning on turning Tyson Kidd and Cesaro babyface and having them as a babyface tag team, which is fair dues considering they're getting the big pops at the end of the day as they're coming out. And it seems that people don't like the New Day, and I don't think they like the talent that's in there. Well, apart from Xavier Woods, I think they respect Big E and Kofi, But these guys have been getting sneaky wins and stealing victories. And more importantly, I just don't think they like the gimmick. I mean, I remember on Facebook, these guys, they're a great team. Well, Big E and Kofi are. Xavier Woods is just annoying. But, I mean, these guys were supposed to be the new Nation of Domination. I mean, at one point there was like this build going round that, oh yeah, they're going to be a new, 2015 version of the Nation of Domination. Because let's face it, you couldn't replicate the old one. You couldn't do that if you tried. You couldn't do that if your life depended on it. But, I mean, they were planning on that, and then it just went from that to 3 gospel singers, which doesn't sit well. I mean, you wonder why you get the New Day sucks chance at the beginning. Now, but all in all, like I said, they won the match. And got the victory. And got the tag titles in the process. Now, the next match was a street fight between Dean Ambrose and Luke Harper. But this match already started because this match kicked off the show. And this match stole the show of the whole evening. I don't care. I really, truly don't care what happened. This match stole the whole show of the evening because, as a street fight should be, it was a fight. They went all the way around the ring, used every weapon. They even managed to go backstage, fighting in the backstage area. Luke Harper gets into a car, steals, he hijacks, commandeers a car, gets in the car, shuts the door, about to drive off. Windows open, the passenger windows open. Dean Ambrose jumps in. The next minute they drove off into the sunset, and people didn't know what to do. But after the New Day match, the New Day were backstage celebrating their win, talking to Renee Young, and the next minute, I don't know where the car returns. Out comes Luke Harper, out comes Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose actually jumps on Luke Harper, which took out the New Day as well. The whole thing went mental, but the right man won in the end, because Dean Ambrose beat him with dirty deeds in the ring. Now, what's next for Dean Ambrose, I don't know, but it better be something good, that's all I'm saying. Obviously, he was in King of the Ring tournament. Did he win? Find out later. But he deserves a title, at least, or a little bit of a push. Maybe a lot of a push. But I'm glad Dean Ambrose won that match. Now, before I get to the US title match, I'll take care of the Nikki Bella Naomi match for the Divas title. Just an average Divas match. Make no sense. Should have been Paige. Yes, Naomi took Paige out. Blah blah blah. It was a match. Didn't do nothing for me whatsoever. And as predicted, Nikki Bella. It's interesting in a way to see who she's going to drop the title to. Will she drop the title to Paige when she returns? I don't know. But it's going to be very, very interesting. But I didn't rate that match very much. And I'll get to the other bit as well. Before the main event, Bo Dallas came out and gave one of his serenades that he's been doing lately, or just interrupting people in the process. And then all you have to do is Bo leave. Apparently, I believe he should fuck off, but that's another issue for another day. And then Ryback came out and just literally beat the piss out of him and shut him up, which I could see all day long, as far as I'm concerned. Absolutely all day long. Now, US title, Rusev, I guess you could say Rocky IV Part 2, which is what it was building up to in WrestleMania. It was okay. Chain match. Was it better than their WrestleMania match? Yes. Because the WrestleMania match was a standard match. This was just brutal, to be honest. They used the chain, they used the weapons. Cena took a beating. And what was good, in a way, because it came to a point where, without sounding evil, or it came to a point where it was a standoff, because all three guys touched the corners as the match was, and then it came to a standoff. It was like a tug of war at first, and it was just to see who's going to make the first move and who's going to make that first mistake. Rusev went for it, but Cena pulled him back, AA'd him, and then touched it in 1-4-3 overall, at least. But yeah, it was predictable. And apparently there's a build-up now to, from what I've gathered, more on this later, but there's a build-up now to split Lana and Rusev up and make Lana the new face of the Divas division. Yes, you heard me correctly. Lana, the new face of the Divas division. Again, more on that in a while, maybe another day. Because like I say, they're trying to make her wrestle. New face. She's got a pretty face, no doubt, but that's for another day. That issue's for another day. Roman Reigns and Big Show. This was just basically Big Show beating the hell out of Roman Reigns and seeing who could be the last man standing. This was actually a good last man standing match. The high point for the match for me was towards the end, to be honest. I mean, it was just a good old-fashioned fight, see who's the last man standing. And the high point at the end was towards the end. The high point of the match, rather, was towards the end when Roman Reigns speared Big Show through the Spanish announce table and then dumped the English announce table on top of him to get the victory. And a very well-deserved win. And it seems to be... I mean, Roman Reigns had a lot of doubters before WrestleMania. I mean, he got booed out the building at the Royal Rumble. But it seems to me that Roman Reigns is slowly winning them over. I mean, the thing they don't like about him is they don't want him to be the next John Cena. They don't want WWE to push him as the new John Cena. Since WrestleMania, and since the beating since he stood up to Brock and everything, this guy's took, he's took a beating and he's gained respect. And he seems to be winning a lot of the doubters over. And you know what? Fair play to the guy. I mean, I've always been... I'm a admirer of Roman Reigns, but he should be just that guy. The guy who does the Superman punches, the spears. It should be that monster. Don't make him anything else other than a walking monster who just wants to fight. And who's not afraid to fight. And if you beat his ass, he'll get back up and get in your face. It's as simple as that. Keep him like that, WWE. Now, for the World's Heavyweight Championship match, which was a very weird ending, which ended in what was apparently, an illegal RKO. Now, obviously Kane got involved towards the end. I'll get to that in a second. Yes, J&J Security got involved, but they got took out. And Kane came in, and this was kind of weird, because he came in, Rollins was scared out of him. Everybody thought Kane was going to grab Rollins. And then he grabs Orton, choke slams him. Rollins goes for the exit. Kane grabs his foot. Kane choke slams him, pins him. 1-2, kicks out. And then Kane comes back in the ring. Orton gets up, hits Kane with an RKO. Yes. But then Orton turns round and Orton receives an RKO from Rollins, which apparently was illegal. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just very, very weird. A weird situation. Now, I don't know where they're going with this. Triple threat match is bound for Payback, the Payback pay-per-view. I mean, are they just trying to have a break from one-on-one and trying to build something out of this between Randy Orton and Seth Rollins, which leads into a title change at some point for Orton? Or, I mean, I really can't put my finger on this one at the moment, what they're going to do with it. I mean, is Rollins going to play the guy that he is right now, just weasel his way out of things, and then, they get a win in, and I don't know. It's very hard to judge as a wrestling fan of what direction this was going to go. I never expected a three-way dance at Payback, or a triple threat match. But it is what it is. And Roman Reigns deserves a shot, and so does Orton still. But it's very hard to pick out and very hard to see what direction it goes. But all in all, ladies and gentlemen, Extreme Rules was a 4.5 out of 5 because I actually thought it was really good, apart from the odd 2 bits. But all in all, overall, it was a really good pay-per-view. And like I said earlier on, during that little rant, and I use that term loosely at the beginning, WWE are banging out good pay-per-views. WrestleMania was good. Everybody thought that was going to be a flop, but it was actually pretty good. And for the first time in God knows how long, it was actually a great WrestleMania. For the first time in God knows how long. And, fair play to WWE for that. And I actually enjoyed Extreme Rules. And that's why I'm giving Extreme Rules 4.5 out of 5. And if I had to give it out of 10, it would be an 8.5. Let's hope Payback delivers as well. But with that being said, I'm going to take another quick break, and back after this with Raw and King of the Ring. So stay tuned. Yes, King of the Ring is back, so I'll be back after this. Peace. for new episodes of the Wrestling Matters podcast, as well as other great professional wrestling related content, be sure to check out the Wrestling Matters channel on YouTube at www.youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters. You'll get weekly episodes of the podcast, and you'll get other great wrestling content as well. Be sure to check it out, subscribe, like, and do all that good stuff. The Wrestling Matters channel, where wrestling matters on YouTube. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters podcast, and without further ado, won't beat around the bush, let's get right into it right now. Monday Night Raw talking points, and then after that we'll go straight into the King of the Ring as well. Now, Raw kicked off this week with Seth Rollins. Now, perhaps it was safer for Seth Rollins in the cage one night after the corporate pet retained the World Heavyweight Championship by escaping the confines of the steel cage. His enemies and frenemies crawled one by one out of the woodwork to box him right back into the proverbial prison. First there was Kane, whose issues with the World Heavyweight Champion are not at an end. Randy Orton followed, crying foul over Rollins using a banned move called the RKO in the title contest, and then Roman Reigns rounded out the posse by bringing over his conquest of the Big Show and reinserting himself into the World Heavyweight Championship picture. The Giant temporarily removed him from nearly a month ago. The result was a tag team match main event between Rollins and Orton against Kane and Reigns and Orton against Kane and Rollins. Wow, I messed that up, didn't I? And the WWE Universe gets to choose who Rollins will defend the World Heavyweight Championship against at Payback. More on that later. King of the Ring first round match. God save the King. Bad News Barrett took his first step towards crowning Great Britain's next great wrestler when he knocked out Dolph Ziggler to advance in the King of the Ring semi-finals. Although he did it with a little bit of help from Sheamus, who came out to distract Dolph and remind him of the events that occurred at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, when Dolph had to kiss, or was forced to kiss, Sheamus's big white Irish pimple butt. Big E defeats Tyson Kidd one-on-one. Ryback again, just like he did the previous night, destroyed Bo Dallas, although this time Bo Dallas actually fought back. Rusev put a halt to the US title open challenge by coming out and literally just beating the hell out of Heath Slater and sending a message to the US champion. R-Truth beats Stardust to advance in the King of the Ring. Hashtag King Stardust had a nice ring to it, but it just didn't work out for him. And R-Truth managed to advance, taking the flight of the Disaster Kick and soaring straight into a lie detector that advanced Truth to round 2 showdown against Bad News Barrett. More on that later. Adam Rose and Fandango. Now Adam Rose won, and then he got a kiss from, and I say kiss, he got a snog from Rosa Mendes. Talk about being on the rebound. Naomi defeats Brie Bella just to make a statement to Nikki. Sheamus beats Dean Ambrose by disqualification. The King lives thanks to Dolph Ziggler's long memory. Sheamus' defense of his King of the Ring title was not a one and done affair. The Short wasn't about to let the Celtic Warrior pluck his freshly kissed caboose on the throne anytime soon without a few bruises to show for it. All this was to anger of Dean Ambrose, who battled the Irishman in a tough-as-nails quarter-final match and had just eaten a bro kick when the zigzag man charged the Irishman and cost Ambrose the match. Inadvertently, but cost him the match nonetheless. Curtis Axel gets confronts Damien Sandow, and Damien Sandow literally just beats the hell out of him. Adrian Neville goes one-on-one with Luke Harper to advance. When Neville eventually descends from his perch in the skies, the drop zone may well be a throne. The man that gravity forgot climbed one step higher into the stratosphere, sending Luke Harper down to his drags and advancing to the King of the Ring semi-finals tomorrow, which was on Tuesday. More on that in a second. The new sensation certainly had his work cut out for him, but hitting a powerbomb and laying him out in time to unleash the Red Arrow got the victory and a date with Sheamus. Out to the main event. With friends like these, right, Seth Rollins and Kane's alliance unraveled even further in the main event of Raw. The Authority's chosen champion and his protector fell to a pair of their greatest threats, Randy Orton and Roman Reigns, to set up a situation from which the self-styled World Heavyweight Champion may be able to design an escape, or may not be able to design an escape. The business-like handshake between Rollins and Kane at the match start turned out to be less than ironclad, even though the partnership held strong throughout the lengthy match. Orton's late game entry into the match, though, threw the Authority's game off its groove, especially when Rollins accidentally struck Kane with both a dropkick and a suicide dive. The Devil's Favorite Demon erupted at the misfires, taking out J&J security in frustration, feeding Rollins to a tandem of attacks of a Superman punch and an RKO for 3. It might not be the last time Rollins feels that combo, however, because the WWE Universe made their decision, and at Payback, Rollins will defend the World Heavyweight Championship against both Roman Reigns and Randy Orton in a triple threat match. And now that the Raw main talking points, ladies and gentlemen, are done, it is now time for the King of the Ring. Now, King of the Ring kicked off this week with Sheamus and Neville. Semi-final. The WWE King of the Ring Live began with a bang as Sheamus collided with Neville in the battle of size versus speed. Despite Celtic Warrior's claims of being the bigger man, it was the man that gravity forgot that would come out on top, thanks to some help from Dolph Ziggler getting his revenge from what happened on Raw. The Irish powerhouse took advantage of the vast size difference between him and the new sensation, delivering clobbering blows to the British opponent. However, it was a distraction from Sheamus' adversary, the show-off Dolph Ziggler, that opened the door for Neville, who connected with a kick, and I mean a kick to the head, of Sheamus before executing and electrifying the crowd with the Red Arrow. Ziggler wasn't done though. He soon charged to the ring and attacked Sheamus in a vicious post-match brawl that left the Irishman busted open. The semi-final match was Bad News Barrett and R-Truth. Bad News Barrett and R-Truth engaged in a heated battle for the right to move to the final of the King of the Ring. Both superstars pulled out their best moves. However, it was a well-placed thumb from Barrett to the eye of his opponent that led to some bad news for R-Truth. That somewhat less than legal maneuver opened the opportunity for Bad News Barrett to hit the bull hammer elbow and advance the British Brawler into the finals of the King of the Ring, which he would then go on to face Adrian Neville. Now, this was a great match. I saw this match, I saw the show and everything. This was an absolute great match. All three of them were great. And I think its capability of Neville can have a good match with anybody. However, Neville provided an inspiring performance, bouncing back from Barrett's hard-hitting attack with a sensational high-flying display, but after missing the red arrow, the man that gravity forgot found himself on the end of a mid-air bullhammer elbow, spelling the end of the new sensation. All hail King Barrett. God save our king. And Bad News Barrett is your King of the Ring. I guess that's one way to make up for him not having an Intercontinental Championship match at Extreme Rules. I said what I needed to say about King of the Ring at the beginning of the show, at the beginning of the podcast, and all that needed to be said was there. So with that being said, that is the end of the Raw and King of the Ring. I will be back after this with SmackDown and TNA, baby. Stay tuned.
Be sure to listen to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast.
What?
Every Sunday with Kenny Killer and the Galdem Sugar Shugs.
Yes!
With all the news, views, and laughter that you want.
They like jet airplanes. They like long limousines.
Every Sunday, the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube.
So why don't you choke on that, slap nut?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wrestling Matters Podcast, and without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's get into the SmackDown main points. SmackDown kicked off this week with Roman Reigns going one-on-one with Kane. SmackDown began just as Raw concluded, with Corporate Kane and the World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins at the odds, and the WWE's Director of Operations putting the title holder in a unwelcome position, this time in SmackDown's main event against Dean Ambrose. Back in the ring, Roman Reigns made an intense WWE Payback proclamation, if that's said correctly, that was quickly followed by the arrival of Corporate Kane for an impromptu match. The Corporate Demon seemed motivated by Rollins' challenge moments earlier to do something of value for the Authority, delivering a powerful offensive attack on the big dog. Somewhere along the way, though, Kane lost that inspiration, deciding instead to walk away from the fierce showdown with the big dog. Also on SmackDown, Damien Sandow beats Curtis Axel, based on what happened on Raw. Ryback defeated Luke Harper. Tyson Kidd and Cesaro used their rematch clause for a chance to regain the tag team titles. From the New Day, the two tag teams put on an instant classic, but the match ended in controversy after Xavier Woods jumped into the ring to break up the potential 1-2-3 on Big E. As a result, Kidd and Cesaro got the victory by disqualification. The New Day is still the tag team champions, for now at least. Nikki Bella beats Cameron, probably sending a message to Naomi as well. And in the SmackDown's main event, it was Dean Ambrose one-on-one with Seth Rollins. The main event matchup between the former Shield brothers turned into a chaotic ringside frenzy after Dean Ambrose sent Rollins colliding into Kane, not once but twice. WWE's Director of Operations nearly chokeslammed both competitors and the referee before the Lunatic Fringe sent the big man face first into the ring post. Seth Rollins took advantage of the situation by eventually catching a distracted Dean Ambrose and sending him into the steel steps before hitting a vicious DDT to win the match. The Carnage War was far from over though, as Kane, Rollins and J&J Security joined forces to inflict a post-match attack on the unstable Ambrose. Fortunately for the embattled superstar, Roman Reigns arrived, destroying the Authority's corporate cronies as the future of WWE scored away like a scalded dog, if I can steal a line from JR. And that is the end of the SmackDown main talking points. Now, ladies and gents, without further ado, we won't waste no time. Let's get into it. Let's get into TNA main talking points. And TNA this week was Hardcore Justice show, meaning everything was hardcore. Now, 6-man tag match to kick off the show saw the Hardys, Davey Richards, and the Revolution, which was not James Storm, because James Storm had other issues. And the Hardy and the match ended with Koya, if that's said wrong, I apologise, Abyss powerbombing the Hardys, who in turn connect with an intended backdrop to Manic, who connects with a suplex to Richards. Abyss is the first man to his feet and he reaches for a choke slam on Richards. Richards flips out mid-slam and takes the monster down with a drop kick to the knee. Abyss rolls from the ring and Richards connects with a suicide dive that sends him into the guardrail. Matt Hardy counters a mid-flight Manic with a side effect, setting him up for a double stomp from Richards. Abyss intercepts the count and powers Richards to the mat with a choke slam before powering Jeff Hardy with a back elbow. The Hardys regroup to prove too much for Abyss as they connect with a twister feint and a swanton combination to get the win. From the back though, James Storm emerges to berate Abyss. Hardy's howl beside Richards. It seems the time of the year for politics. Mr. Anderson enters the Impact Zone to discuss Ethan Carter III's address from last week. Before revealing his intentions against Ethan Carter, EC3 interrupts with Tyrus. Despite the "you can't wrestle, yes he can" chants, EC3 says that he is the very first person to bring politics to professional wrestling. That cannot be duplicated. Anderson tells EC3 that instead of politics, if you want to be a champion, then freaking win it. EC3 says he's undefeated, unbeatable. Mr. Anderson unveils a campaign of his own. Mr. Anderson beat the streak. EC3 says Anderson will merely be a footnote in his rise to champion. Anderson vows the streak will end, and then he suggests the fans decide the match. EC3 says democracy doesn't work, but if that's what it takes, challenge accepted. Wait and see how that turns out. X Division Championship ladder match that saw Mark Andrews, Tigre Uno, Rockstar Spud the champion, and Kenny King, and which saw the ending. King and Spud return to their feet. King taunts Spud, unleashing the champion's ferocious nature. Spud drops King with the enziguri. Then he and King begin their climbs. King gets the advantage atop of the ladder, and just when it looks like to be closing on a victory, Tigre Uno springboards over Spud to the top of the ladder. King drives Tigre Uno's face into the top of the ladder before tossing him down to the mat. Spud returns to the top. He bites King in the face and sends him to the mat with a momentous right. Spud is about to retrieve the title when Homicide interferes. Homicide pulls Spud down from the ladder. Spud crashes onto the ladder. King and mounted in the corner. Earlier, Homicide helps King up the ladder, and unfortunately Kenny King becomes the new X Division champion. The BDC, Tyrene Terrell beats Brooke, and post-match Gail Kim comes out and says that she has an issue with Tyrene and her new dollhouse, and has joined forces with an enemy. That's right, Awesome Kong. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out in the future. And I don't think Miss Tyrene Terrell was expecting that outcome. Galloway one-on-one with Loki. Now, we've been waiting for this match for months and months since this feud started. And it all started with a pipe. So it was a pipe on the pole match. Loki versus Drew Galloway. Drew Galloway and Loki intensely began their battle. When Drew intensely gets the best of, he sends Loki over the top rope with a vicious clothesline before dropping Loki throw first onto the guardrail. Galloway assaults continues as the fans hold Loki to the guardrail. Loki manages to escape, in which Galloway pursues. Loki quickly grabs a folding chair, and with it he begins commanding the brawl. Galloway dodges a swing of a chair by Loki. The chair flies from Loki's hands, and Galloway uses it to his advantage. With Loki reeling, Galloway suplexes him onto the ring apron. Galloway climbs the turnbuckle and reaches the pipe on the pole, but Loki unleashes a series of kicks that take Galloway down. Galloway fights back and gets ready to deliver a powerbomb onto the chair, but Loki connects with an elbow to free himself. Loki backs Galloway into a corner and unloads a series of hard rights. Galloway counters and powerbombs Loki onto the steel chair in the center of the ring. This allows Galloway control of the match. Galloway gets Loki in position for a suplex, but he manages a counter, sending Galloway to the mat. With Galloway hunched over the folding chair, Loki delivers the Warrior's Way. Somehow Galloway kicked out at 2. Loki moves for the pipe on the pole. Galloway pursues him to the top of the turnbuckle, where both men trade blows. Loki trips Galloway, hanging him up in the ropes. Galloway appears to be in trouble, but he sits up to pull Loki from the turnbuckle and sends him rolling into the chair. Both men are down, but Galloway reaches his feet first and grabs the metal pipe that's been knocked to the mat. He jumps toward Loki, but he manages to counter and grabs the pipe himself. Loki takes a swing and misses with the pipe. Galloway delivers Future Shock onto the steel chair and gets the victory 1-2-3. Post-match, BDC come down to attack Galloway, and then the rest of the Rising rushes down to help, and a brawl ensues. Is James Storm playing mind games with Mickie James? Is he playing mind games with Magnus? And in the final match of the evening, saw a stretcher match between Eric Young, the number 1 contender for the world title, and Kurt Angle. And it ended. Young reaches the ropes at this time, successfully uses his leverage to pull himself and Angle to the outside. Angle slingshots Young into the ring post and connects with an Angle slam onto the unforgiving arena floor. Angle retrieves the stretcher and begins to strap on his opponent, whatever. Young rakes Angle's eyes and frees himself. He moves back into the ring and attempts a power driver that Angle turns into an ankle lock. Young rolls through, sending Angle face first into the exposed turnbuckle. Young connects with a power driver, unfinished. Young delivers a second power driver and places the TNA World Champion on the stretcher to get the victory. With Slammiversary on June 28th, what's in store for the World Champion as well as Eric Young? We'll have to wait and see. Tune in this week to find out. And with that being said, that is the end of the SmackDown and TNA Made Talking Points. And I'll be back after this with a Ring of Honor review. So stay tuned. Be sure to listen to the Wrestling Matters podcast each and every Monday, only on Mixcloud, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, YouTube, Podomatic, and SoundCloud. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans, we talk about Monday Night Raw, we shoot the breeze, we pipe bomb, and we tell it like it is. Tune in each and every Monday for the Wrestling Matters podcast, where wrestling matters. Welcome back to the Wrestling Matters podcast, ladies and gentlemen, and without further ado, we'll get right in. You know what? Ring of Honor, I will do the Ring of Honor review, but you know what? I'm going to talk about NXT, because it's an action-packed show today. Let's get NXT in, let's get Ring of Honor in, and let's take it from there. So we'll talk about Ring of Honor first. I'll get to NXT in a sec. Ring of Honor NXT this week, started off with Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy defeating the tag team champions in a non-title match. Now, the Certified G was finally able to stun Blake with a jawbreaker and tag in Cassidy, who changed into Action and bulldozed Murphy. The champions regained control after evading a top rope dive by Amore. However, Murphy made a mistake of turning his attention to Carmella, blowing the beauty a kiss before catching a big foot from Big Cass that led to Cassidy launching Amore off the top rope, giving him the huge victory over the champions. So, in that particular feud, advantage Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy as well. So when would their tag team title shot be? Hopefully sometime soon. Now, after her impressive debut 2 weeks ago, Dana Brooke faced her first real test in NXT as she took on Bayley. The happy-go-lucky diva made her way out of the ring without her trademark headband, which had been taken by Emma backstage. Brooke targeted Bayley's injured leg, but she could not keep her rival down. Just as Bayley was getting fired up, Emma entered the arena to Bayley's music, wearing Bayley's shirt and headband. The distraction allowed Brooke to hit Bayley with a fireman's carry slam to earn the win. After the bout, it seemed as though Emma and Brooke were in cahoots as the two shared a high five on the ramp, and I was done with Emma a long time ago, quite frankly. The party returned to NXT with Adam Rose, who took on Hideo Itami, the Japanese superstar who was announced as the number one contender for the number one contenders triple threat at TakeOver. Unstoppable was in no mood for Rose's antics, stopping them with a series of swift and hard kicks. Rose yanked Itami off the ropes and went on the offense, digging down deep. Itami battled back and clobbered Rose with the shotgun kick to win the match. A normal match, quite frankly. And then after that, it was previewed that it'll be a triple threat match at TakeOver to determine the number one contender for the NXT Championship, and it would be Hideo Itami, Finn Balor, Tyler Breeze. Fresh off being the number one contender to the NXT Women's Championship, Becky Lynch was also out to prove that she is worthy of challenging Sasha Banks. The Irish Diva certainly did that, wearing down Sarah Dobson before forcing her to tap out to a vicious armbar. And I mean vicious armbar. And that left the main event, which saw Sami Zayn and Alex Riley. After finding out Sami Zayn would not get the next crack at Kevin Owens, a furious Alex Riley would get the next crack. I'll say that again. After finding out Sami Zayn would get the next crack at Kevin Owens, a furious Alex Riley interrupted Zayn's contract signing, demanding one more opportunity at the NXT champion. Instead, Alex Riley ended up in a match with Sami Zayn in the main event. The two competitors seemed evenly matched in the opening moments of the match, with Riley trying to use his power to keep Zayn in his clutches, when Zayn used speed and technical ability to stay ahead of Alex Riley. Unfortunately, the NXT universe saw no resolution to this new grudge when the bout spilled to the arena floor as Owens rushed down the ramp and attacked Zayn from behind. After weeks of trying, the NXT champion finally got his hands on Riley and powerbombed him spine first across the unforgiving apron. Having left the two rivals in a heap, the NXT champion excited the arena with a giant smile on his face. Job done. 5 out of 5 for the show, because I actually saw the show, and be interested to see what happens in the coming weeks leading into this TakeOver show. And with that being said, that is the end of the NXT review and talking points, and now I'm going to go to Ring of Honor. That's right, Ring of Honor kicked off this week. It was a good show, saw it, and it kicked off with the Addiction saying that they will slay the dragon in order to become the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. Ring of Honor itself kicked off this week match-wise with BJ Whitmer, Will Ferrara, Caprice Coleman and Moose in a Four Corners survival. BJ and Moose start off. BJ tags Will and lets Will do his dirty work. Moose, little aware of hitting his friend, didn't want to do it, anything, but Will, being the guy that he is, wanted him to do it and everything, competitive, compete. Moose just overpowers Will, but Will uses quickness till he runs into a dropkick from the big man. Boy, was it ever. Moose is just insane, man. He really is. He's just a beast. And then I see future Ring of Honor World Champion all over him. Then Snake BJ tags in, and takes advantage of Moose's work. BJ in control of Will as Ring of Honor goes to break. Back from the break, BJ still in control. Will tagged Moose. BJ looks to tag out, but no good. BJ gets a beatdown from the big man. Caprice tags in and hits a nice Hurricane Rana and comes in. Will comes in and manages to get a chance to dive on BJ, avoiding Caprice. Springboard moonsault by Caprice from inside to out, and then Moose dives on all three competitors outside. BJ counters a spear, hits a suplex, punches Will, then Will hits Code Red. Caprice hits No Hands Hurricane Rana, then hits a Sky Splinter for a near fall. A lot of things to read there. Caprice rocking Moose till Moose takes his head off with a clothesline, and I mean takes his head up with a clothesline. Moose hits a spear on Caprice, but BJ steals the win and gets the victory for. BJ then gets in Moose's face. Back from the break, Decade never left, and Adam Page runs down ACH and 3 high-profile losses. Adam says ACH is empty inside. Adam says he wants to take out ACH and burn the letters from Ring of Honor. ACH puts a stop to any attempt to burn the shirt. ACH cleans house. The Decade from the ring. The Decade retreat. ACH, the reason he is not retreat. ACH says the reason Adam Page is not getting what he wants is because he went with BJ and all that back and forth stuff, and then an impromptu match comes into play, which was ACH versus Adam Page. ACH drop kicks Page to start off after they fight. Slingshot clothesline gets a near fall for Page. Page up on the second rope till ACH kicks his face off to knock him off it. BJ distracts ACH, gets a move on him and wins. Decade looked to beat down ACH till Matt Sydal stops that. What's next for this? I don't know. Elgin sends a warning out to the War Machine, and it will be next week on Ring of Honor, this coming week on Ring of Honor rather. It will be the War Machine versus the Killer Elite Squad, who are doing the bidding for Mr. Michael Elgin. And now on to the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship main event, which is the Addiction versus Red Dragon. Great match. Feeling out process to start off. Great wrestling also to start off. Daniels gets out of an armbar. Addiction controlling Bobby Fish. A hip toss into a neck breaker by Kaz gets a near fall. Classic Frankie Kazarian. He's done that loads of times. It's one of his signature moves, which is you whip him to the ropes, you go for the hip toss, but instead of doing the hip toss and taking the hip toss bump, you lift him up for a hip toss and then switch it into a neck breaker, which is it's just a thing of beauty. I've tried that myself, to be honest. Armbar on Kaz, but Kylie allows Red Dragon to work the arm on for Kaz. Red Dragon uses the 5 count to double team Kaz. Kaz with a move to create space to tag in Daniels. The fight back is on. Daniels uses quickness and experience, hits Blue Thunder bomb for a near fall. Addiction in control as ROH goes to break. They are still in control as Ring of Honor comes back from the break and Kaz gets a near fall. Kaz controls Fish on the ground. Mat wrestling. Mat-based stuff. Kaz hits a submission on Fish. Kylie hits an armbar on Kaz, and then springboard moonsault by Daniels breaks that up. Both men tag Red Dragon, mount a fight back, but Addiction fight back also. Riley armbar on Daniels, then grabs Kaz's leg. They escape. Red Dragon proving why they are the champions. Double team after double team. A double arm DDT suplex combo gets a near fall by Red Dragon. Back and forth match. Slingshot cutter by Kaz gets a near fall. Double team powerbomb neckbreaker combo by the Addiction gets them a near fall. Awesome tag team match. The crowd loved it. They were chanting, "This is wrestling." Suplex in the corner by Fish on Kaz. A KID member hits the ring on Riley and super kicks him. The Addiction hit Celebrity Rehab and win the tag team titles. That's right, we have new World Tag Team Champions in the Addiction. Fish grabs the KID member on the outside, throws him into the ring, pulls off his mask, and it is revealed that under that was Chris Sabin. Everyone's in shock, and then Kaz and Daniels hit Dragon with the belts, busting Kyle O'Reilly open. And it appears it was revealed that Sabin, Daniels, and Kaz were the KID, because Kaz went out, picked up all the masks, handed Daniels and Sabin a mask, and they both raised the masks up in the air. Bobby Fish is absolutely pissed and rants at Kevin Kelly, saying it takes that to take the tag team titles off Red Dragon and everything and demands their rematch. So, very interesting stuff on Ring of Honor. 4 out of 5, 8 out of 10 for the actual show. Great show. And I'm looking forward to next week to see what happens of the fallout for that, because a lot of questions definitely need to be answered. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed that, and I'll be back after this with a few quick promotions and something that I want to mention as well that happened this week on the WWE Network. So take a quick break and I'll be back after this. See you in a bit.
Be sure to listen to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast.
What?
Every Sunday with Kenny Killer and the Galdem Sugar Shugs.
Yes! Yes!
With all the news, views, and laughter that you want.
They like jet airplanes. Woo! They like long limousines.
Every Sunday, the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube.
So why don't you choke on that, slap nut?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the final part of the Wrestling Matters podcast. Now, I've got a few quick promotions that I want to do before I leave you, and I just want to also recommend and quickly talk about a podcast that took place this week with Chris Jericho and one Stephanie McMahon. Now, hopefully, you guys check this out. I mean, it was a really good podcast, an hour-long podcast, took place on the WWE Network. That's where you need to get the WWE Network for stuff like this. They talk about their history, how Stephanie got into the business, how the thing with Triple H came about, you know, their feud that they had from about 2000, 2001, a lot of stuff, how Stephanie got to the position where she was, all sorts of stuff as well. Really, really good podcast, very interesting stuff. I recommend you go and see that and get the WWE Network, $9.99 a month. And check it out, man. Absolutely, just check it out, and it is worth a watch. Now, a few quick promotions that I want to bring to your attention, if I may, if I can find them. EPW, for information on EPW Wrestling as well, go to epwwrestling.co.uk, EPW Wrestling 1 on Twitter, and EPW American Wrestling on Facebook as well, for more information of EPW coming to your area. Also, like I say, TWT are coming to Middlesbrough at the back end of October, Halloween night to be precise. They will be doing their first show there. Be sure to check these guys out. I don't know the full details. Like I say, I won't know the full details until I get the information. Hopefully, if the guys are listening, please give me the information so I can read it out and everything. It's coming back. It's like I say, Halloween night. There'll be a lot of stuff there. I don't know where it's going to be taking place. It's going to be in Middlesbrough. That's what I know. Like I said, check it out. Tune into the future podcasts for more information on that when I get it. Be sure to check them out at the official TWT on Twitter and on Facebook as well. Yes, they're on Facebook, ladies and gentlemen. I will find that. It is facebook.com/TWT Wrestling. So be sure to check them out, like the page, subscribe, and do all that good stuff, and share it out, and just look out for them. And if they come, and look out for them, because before long they may come to your area too. Friday night, May 15th, 7:30. Doors open 7:45. I unfortunately will not be going to this. It's in Darlington, DL1. It is Tidal Wave Wrestling at the Dolphin Centre Horse Market, at Darlington. £30 advance, £13 advance, £40 family. Bell time, all ages, you know, everybody's going to be there. The list is Luke King Sharp's going to be there, The Dragon, Dave Conrad is going to be there, Dan Jones, AJ Anderson, Violet O'Hare, Joe Hendry, that's right, ICW's Joe Hendry is going to be there as well, Kenny Williams, Rampage Brown, Kid Fight, 55, and the list goes on and on. For more information, go to ringsidewrestling.co.uk and Eventbrite, spelled BRITE. So that's www.eventbrite, all one word, .co.uk. Card subject to change. And no, I'm not talking NAK when I say that as well. Although they might be there, I don't know. It takes place May 15th at Darlington Dolph Centre Horse Market. Be sure to go there. Tidal Wave Wrestling. Or Tidal Championship Wrestling. Where did I get Tidal Wave from? God, better. Tidal Championship Wrestling, TCW, Point Break 2015. So get yourself down there if you can. Why did I say tidal wave for? It's not a fucking surfing promotion, for Pete's sake, for fuck's sake. Anyway, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the podcast. Hope you have enjoyed it. Tune in next time for another episode. Tune in tomorrow for the 3rd episode of ICW podcast that I'm doing. The ICW podcast series as well. So be sure to check that out. And until next time, ladies and gents, my name is the HD88 of the day. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast on Mixcloud, Podomatic, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, YouTube, and in the coming weeks, by next week, it'll be on SoundCloud as well. Be sure to check that out on SoundCloud. Yes, I know it was on SoundCloud before, but I didn't really use SoundCloud that much. But now I am. Everything's going on SoundCloud, so be sure to check that out. And until next time, my name is Anthony Walker, the HD88 of the day. Peace out.